And a new poll spells more trouble for the Democrats' health care bill. According to a Rasmussen Report survey released earlier today, only 38% of voters now support their plan. This is the lowest level of support the bill has received since polling began way back in June. So it sounds like the more people learn about the plan, the less likely they are to support it. Joining me now from Minneapolis is the governor of the great state of Minnesota, Governor Tim Pawlenty. Governor, welcome back.
Thanks, Sean. Good to be with you.
All right, there's an 18-point differential. Now people opposing the bill. Zogby, it's 12 points. But yet Congress seems just, focused, blinders on. They're going to push it down America's throat anyway. Politically, is that smart?
Well, I certainly respect Scott Rasmussen and Zogby and the other pollsters, but I think this is the point in the conversation where my 16-year-old would say, "Thank you, Captain Obvious." It's pretty clear the American public and big parts of our population does not support this bill. A majority do not now. Congress isn't listening. There's only so long you can ignore the American public without having the consequence set in, and hopefully that will set in before they finally pass this bill. It's bad for the country. It's bad policy. It's particularly out of sync with the main issue right now, which is we got to be providing jobs for our fellow citizens, and this bill's adding taxes and doing things that will actually make it more difficult for our economy to grow and for jobs to be provided.
What does this mean as we head into 2010, especially looking at it through the prism of the electoral results, the gubernatorial races in Virginia and in New Jersey?
Well, if you look at Virginia and New Jersey, I think one of the resounding messages coming out of those two states are people are focused primarily on the economy. When you have Republicans like Bob McDonnell and Chris Christie focusing on the bread and butter issues of jobs, education, basic infrastructure, things like that, that's a good message. That's a message we need for economic recovery. We should be focusing on that instead of the bureaucracy expanding bills you're seeing coming out of this administration.
How would you grade this president? I mean, how would you grade him on the economy? How would you grade him on national security?
Well, I think this is one of the biggest bait-and-switch schemes in modern American political history. This is an individual who's a gifted orator. When he's reading a teleprompter, he can give inspiring and grand rhetoric. And he ran as somebody who was going to unite the country, and now he's governing as somebody who is a very, I think, dangerous, has a very dangerous liberal agenda. So I think it's a bait-and-switch tactic. I do not think he's governing like his rhetoric suggested, and I think the performance that he's going to put forward in terms of the deficit, the spending going up, the consequences that's going to come with that, and the drag on the economy is going to be a huge missed opportunity. So great orator, not a great president so far.
Would you grade him?
Well, on a grading system, I just have to look at it by issue, but I would say he is misfocused, misdirected. Right now, he should be focused like a laser on doing things that are going to stimulate job growth and economic activity and recovery. Dragging us into a big fight on health care, on cap and trade, on card check, and the rest is going in the exact opposite direction. I'd give him not a very good grade.
Well, I'd feel the same. I mean, if we look at the economy, unemployment wasn't supposed to go above 8%. He's quadrupled the deficit in a year. He's quadrupling the debt. The debt ceiling now is going to be $13 trillion. I don't see any hope of any jobs being created. Taxing everybody on health care. Then we're giving Miranda rights to enemy combatants. He can't make a decision on Afghanistan. And Khalid Sheikh Mohammed gets the rights of American citizens. So, and we'll talk about this in a minute, so that he can attack America while he's on trial. None of this makes sense to me, and that was not what he was running on, as you point out. So the question is, are the American people waking up to the fact that he's different than the person that he campaigned as?
They're clearly waking up to it. I think the American public still gives him credit, and they like him as an orator and in terms of his personal qualities. But this isn't personal. It's about the issues. It's about the policy direction for our country. And I think one example would be the spending and the debt. People realize they can't run their lives that recklessly. When they've seen the government acting that recklessly, they know that the gig is up. And the epitome of all this, and this is one of many examples, I mean, the Cash for Clunkers program, you have our federal government, which is already broke, they can't pay their bills, borrowing money from places like China to pay ourselves money, to incentivize ourselves to buy cars from companies we bought, so someday we might be able to pay ourselves back. It's ludicrous, Sean. Average people understand how ridiculous that is. We have a federal government that's broke. Our debt and deficit is out of control. It's reckless. It's irresponsible. When you add that debt and deficit to the other unfunded liabilities, I saw a statistic the other day that adds up to $500,000 per household in this country. That is ridiculous. And the American people is saying enough. It's like inviting somebody out to dinner and having them just continuing to order at this point, we have to say the Obama administration put down the fork, put down the knife, push yourself away from the buffet.
Governor, where are you in the process of you considering this run for the presidency? Where are you in that process?
Well, I've got a year or more left on my term as governor in Minnesota, and I'm certainly doing all that I can to help the Republican and conservative causes across the country, including being vice chair of the Republican Governors Association. I've started a federal PAC, TimPawlenty.com. But as to running for president, Sean, beyond next year, I haven't made any decisions about what I'm going to do after being governor.
All right, Governor, appreciate you being with us as always. Governor Tim Pawlenty, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.